Okay, hello. So this is an updated version of the Edit With Me video that I posted like 5 months ago. So the first thing I do after I cut all of my clips to the audio is I put the effect Play Pendulum, and I'm just gonna put the adjustments for all the effects I do on the screen because I'm too lazy to say each and every one of them. But I put the object on all for Play Pendulum, and I put that throughout the entire video. The next effect I put is called Noise 2, and I just set the speed to 30. And I also put the object on all for that one, and the effect goes for the whole video as well. Then after I put that effect, I go back and I search for Dark Night, and once again, I'm just gonna put the adjustments for that one on the screen, but the object also goes on all, and it also lasts for the entire duration of the edit. After that, I put the Vignette effect. The next thing I do is I just make sure that Play Pendulum is above all of the other effects, like it's on top of all of the other ones. Then I move on to do my coloring, which is the same for basically every edit, so I'm just gonna put it on the screen again. And afterwards I have to return to the effects, and I don't do this for every single edit, but I do it for most of them. I put the oblique blur, I don't know how to say that word, oblique blur, I think. And for this next part with the oblique blur, you just gotta listen to me because I messed it up on the edit slightly. It just looks really confusing when you watch the video. But what I did is I shorten it so it's only on like a small bit of the very beginning of each clip, and then I put the blur to 100 and the rotate to 0. After I put the blur to 100 and the rotate to 0, I put a keyframe at the very beginning, and then at the very end I added another keyframe and put the blur down to 0. And I forgot to say this, but make sure the object is all for the filter. And then I just duplicate that 3 times so that there's 3 of that same effect at the very beginning of each clip. I cut that last part out because my camera roll is shown, I'm too lazy to blur it, but I added my overlay, and then mine's kind of goofy because I'm too lazy to make a new one, so I have to crop it so it only shows like my name part. And then I put splice and overlay on 100, and then obviously I just put that for the entire duration of the edit, and then I do remove background. The reason that my watermark isn't on a green screen and it's on a pink screen is because for me personally, I find that it works a lot better when the background is like that pink color than when it's green, because when it's green you can still kind of see a little bit of the green edge, and I hate how it looks, so yeah. Then I go to layers and I move the overlay on top of everything except it's right behind Play Pendulum. And at the same time, I take the Noise 2 filter and I move it all the way to the back. Believe it or not, I have to add in another filter because I'm kind of insane, but this one's called Recorder, and the adjustments are on screen. And once again, make sure the object is on all and that it's set to the entire duration of the video. This next part is optional, but I take the Noise 2 and I adjust it so the length is the entirety, because there's always a little bit of a black screen at the end of my edits, and so I just make sure it's on the whole thing. Then I just had to readjust the filters to make sure Play Pendulum was still on top. Then I go and I do my transitions, which are pretty basic for the most part. There's nothing really special about them, but always, so there's a keyframe at the very beginning and a keyframe at the very end, and I make sure at the very end I go and I adjust the opacity to 60 so that it kind of like fades out slowly but not completely, because I don't like how it looks when it fades out completely to black. And then I add in the flow to graph. After I'm done with all my transitions, I go and I do my text. I do basically the same thing for my text in every single edit just because I don't know. But after typing it out, I go to styles and I click that little thingy, and then I adjust the size to 6, and I use the font. I don't know what the font name is, but I'm gonna put it on the screen. And then I put bold and italic on, every time. Then obviously I just have to adjust the text to each clip, whatever. Oh yeah, and then I go to layers for the text and I put the text behind Play Pendulum so that it like flows with the edit better. And then I'll also move that text behind one of the oblique blur layers. Not all three, because then it's like too much. I only move it behind one of them. The last thing I do is I put in a black overlay and I go to transform, resize, and 1:1 ratio. Then I zoom it all in and I go to mask and I put the rectangle thing and I adjust it so it's like it almost fills up the whole screen, but not exactly. I click invert, round corners goes on 7 and feather goes on 20. Then I just adjust the opacity and it usually goes on around like 60 or 70. And then after that, I'm done.